Okay, so I've never really done a real podcast before, and so that's why this one is so special. This is episode number 1. I'm calling it Divine Order. Why chaos feels off and alignment feels like home. So if you're listening to this, it's because chances are you are someone who is disciplined. You show up, you train your body, you carry a special responsibility. You build things, relationships, families, businesses, ideas, and communities. And lately, you may not feel lost necessarily, but you do feel attention. Like something that used to work doesn't work anymore. Like effort alone isn't enough. Like success without peace is starting to feel expensive. So I want to talk to you about why that might be happening. Not as a problem to fix, but as a pattern to recognize. There is divine order to everything. And when we move against that order, even unintentionally, something in us just knows. So scripture tells us something important in Romans 1:20. Since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made. So that verse doesn't just say God is hidden, it says he is revealed. Creation itself carries evidence of order. Think about the natural world. We have seasons, cycles, growth, reset, renewal. Nothing healthy grows randomly, and nothing strong develops without structure. And deep down, we recognize that. That's why chaos feels off. That's why disorder drains us. That's why even very capable people eventually feel the cost of building without alignment. Your nervous system knows. Your soul knows. Some modern day voices will tell us we're here by chance, particles without purpose drifting through randomness, but creation tells us a very different story. From the beginning, God made everything good, beautiful, intentional, and ordered. So think about it, the air you breathe, the precision of the human body, the balance required for life to exist at all. Even science confirms this. Life on Earth depends on dozens of factors held in balances, conditions so precise that the odds of them happening by chance is almost incomprehensible. Life is not an accident, it is a testimony. If creation has order, that means so do you. Here's where this gets personal. Driven people don't burn out because they are weak. They burn out because they are building out of order. They push harder, they add discipline, they increase their output, but alignment erodes, peace disappears, and what they're building starts to cost them more than it gives. So this is why Soul Runner has never been just about workouts and training. Training has always been the vehicle for formation, for clarity, for identity. Ambition isn't wrong. Wanting more impact doesn't make you selfish. Creativity is not ego. It is part of our divine design. Scripture tells us in Genesis, we are made in the image of the Creator. If he creates with intention, then creating is part of our responsibility, not to perform, but to contribute. So let's make this really practical for a moment, because the one thing that most of us listening have in common is that we train. We train our bodies, we follow programs, we prepare for races, seasons, moments that ask something of us. There's a date on the calendar. There's a standard we want to meet. There's a version of ourselves that we're preparing to step into. And here's what I've learned personally, physically, spiritually. The work does not start on race day. It starts long before, in how you train, how you recover, and how you listen. You can work hard and you can push your limits. You can even perform at a really high level, but achievement alone will never fulfill you if it is not grounded in alignment. That's not anti-performance, that's order. Think about how your body actually adapts. You don't get stronger just by doing more. You get stronger by doing the right things in the right order. So stress, recovery, adaptation, effort, rest, growth, discipline, patience, your capacity grows. When we skip the order, the body tells us injury, burnout, fatigue, and frustration. The same is true internally. You can train harder, but if your identity is not anchored, pressure eventually becomes destructive. That's why Soul Runner has never been about chasing more. We train for alignment first, so performance becomes sustainable and not sacrificial. So this is what we mean when we say identity before assignment, being before doing, and alignment before acceleration. Jesus said it plainly in Mark 8:36. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world yet lose his soul? That's not a rejection of high drive or ambition. That's a restoration of order, because the work does matter. The build matters. The reps that no one sees, it all matters, but only when it's rooted in alignment. At Soul Runner, we don't just train to get more, we train to become more aligned so that we can build things that last. So this is the build phase. This is where discipline is formed. This is where identity is tested and strengthened, not just in the body, but in how you lead, love, and how you live. Matthew 7:16, Jesus tells us, the fruit tells you the source. Jesus said, but their fruit will recognize them. That fruit comes after the roots, after formation, after identity, but our culture skips that order. We chase fruit, the results, success, recognition, without tending to who we are becoming. That's why discipline without identity burns out. Why effort without order collapses. Why creativity without formation eventually costs you more than it gives. What you create can only grow as deep as you're willing to become. If the fruit matters, the roots must come first. Okay, so let's think about this. God did not abandon creation when it fractured. Through Christ, forgiveness was given, identity was restored, and a new life became possible. Evil does still exist, and pressure exists. Divine order isn't something you hustle into. It's something you return to. And when you do, your body, your creativity, your leadership, your pace begin to align again. So if you felt the tension lately, like you are being asked to slow down, simplify, or reorder, maybe nothing is wrong. Maybe you're not breaking down. Maybe you are being reordered. And maybe this conversation is just the beginning.